Oksana. Oksana. Where's Oksana? I don't care what time it is in Russia. Somebody wake up Oksana.
Hello everybody and welcome back. I am the Sovereign and this is my court. If this is your first time in attendance, greetings. Please consider hitting the subscribe button before you leave our kingdom, and also note that the links to my social media accounts have always been in the description box below this video, because I know a lot of you do try to find me, and I highly do suggest you try to find me on Instagram, because there is a full-length Miss Universe reaction video on Instagram along with many live streams that you have probably missed out on. I do a lot of live streams usually on Instagram, and you can keep up with the tea on what I'm thinking about and what I'm talking about. You know, if I'm having a good day, bad day, whatever, you can find out on Instagram. So come find me. So I retreated for a week. I was kind of hoping that the fire that's currently going on in the world would just put itself out and I could happily skip along in my happy little dandy life and just ignore the fires that are currently popping up all over the internet and in the world in general. And then I came back to the internet and the world is still on fire. And of course, I'm going to talk about it. This is a video that is both pageantry and involves the current situations that are going on in the world, most specifically the Ukrainian-Russian war. Oksana Fedorova, the most famous queen that comes from Russia, competed in Miss Universe and won in 2002. To this day, she is still very iconic and still has one of my favorite Trump era performances to date. Most people know at this point, I have always been an advocate for queens speaking up and out for good causes, for good reasons. Use your platform for something other than pretty pictures. Well, Oksana Fedorova decided to do just that, releasing a statement seemingly in support of Vladimir Putin and the actions that he has taken in Ukraine. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to read the statement. For those of you who are not caught up on the Russian-Ukrainian war, you don't know where to start, you don't know how to even understand the situation or its significance, I have done a kind of foolproof video of understanding the war in Ukraine. You can click the link up above over here somewhere to try to get a basic understanding on what's going on and why it's significant. For those of you who are caught up, I'm going to read the statement that Oksana Fedorova put on her Instagram account. Understanding the current events, it is our duty to support the decision of the country's leadership. Russia has always acted as it should have. We have no other choice. We have a duty to protect our citizens and end lawlessness. Life has always put Russia in difficult situations, but it has always emerged a winner. Oksana Fedorova, Miss Universe 2002. Now, those of you who do follow me on Instagram had the benefit of seeing me talk about this statement in real time. I talked about it on Instagram and I talked about it in a YouTube live stream for just a little bit. And I said this video was coming because we do need to discuss this, because even I know that I'm coming to you very calm. I've even though I'm frustrated having just read that again, I want you to understand that every word of this statement is stupid. All of it. Sentence by sentence. And I'm going to break it down. I do not take joy in having to correct a pageant queen or come for a pageant queen. I prefer they just not embarrass themselves and put me in a position to do so. But I am not going to ignore behavior that sets a bad example or has the potential to be harmful. Oksana Fedorova's statement comes off as rhetoric. It comes off as a statement that was written by Vladimir Putin himself. The first sentence of the statement, understanding the current events, comma, it's not even the full statement, and already it's not even a full sentence, and you're wrong. You clearly don't understand the current events. It is our duty to support the decision of the country's leadership, comma, still not even a full sentence, and you're still wrong. And you wouldn't be giving this statement if it was Germany's Nazis, okay? Nobody would accept this nonsense if the Germans were like, it's our duty to support our leadership, even if the leadership are Nazis. No. It is never the complete duty of citizens to support their leadership. The citizens that supported the Nazis likely would have said the same thing. It is the duty of the public to hold their governments accountable and to remove said government when they are conducting or making decisions that is adverse to what the citizens or their people want. The people of Russia did not ask for war. The people of Russia have nothing against Ukrainians. And I find it very hard to believe that you could honestly think it's the duty of the public to support their government in every single decision that government makes, regardless of if it is cruel or a crime. You still advocate for the public standing behind their elected leadership. I'm going to have to say no. That is a very dangerous precedent to set. Leaderships and governments only have power when they have the mandate of the public, when they have the approval of the public. It is the job of the public to pull those people out of power when they become corrupt, when they become dangerous, when they become different or are not serving the will of the people. It is not okay. It is never okay to sit there and say, I'm just a bystander. It is not okay to just sit there and say, well, I'm just following orders or I'm just following the will of my government. That's not how governments work. Governments reflect the will of the people. Russia has always acted as it should have. So you're telling me throughout the history of the world, Russia has never misbehaved. Russia has never made a poor decision. Russia has never been out of line in any decision that this country or its government has made. You say everything that Russia has decided to do is correct, is right. This is just showing blatant bias and letting us know that your words can't be trusted because you are unwilling to stand up to your government, no matter what actions they put forth to anyone, no matter how they treat anyone. You do not have the will to say no. You do not have the will to stand up. This is one reason, this is a Trump era queen. And this is one reason where I can say that I don't expect much from Trump era queens, because at the time of the Trump era, they were more being chosen for their looks and for their presentation, more so than they were being chosen for their level of intellect, because this is a blatant display of bias and propaganda. This is a woman that's not really showing the will to do what is right in the face of adversity. A true queen, a leader, is a person that has the ability to stand up in the face of someone that is powerful and impactful and tell them no, and tell them that they are wrong. A leader is a person who will always do the right thing no matter what. This was not the right thing to do or say. Russia has always acted as it should have. We have no other choice, period. Once again, a queen, a leader, is a woman, a person that always has a choice in what is right and what is wrong. You always have a choice in what you do. Displaying that level of mentality is displaying victimhood behavior. You're not a hostage. You always have a choice, okay? When you make a decision, you do not get to sit there and say, well, I had no other option. You always have another option. The problem was you didn't have the will and strength to do what was right. And that's on you. We have a duty to protect our citizens and end lawlessness. Currently, Russia is committing war crimes. Russia is using weaponry, cluster bombs that impact civilians indiscriminately, which most of the international community has outlawed. They're using those weapons. They are targeting civilians. And this is not hearsay. This is not me just spouting off the nonsense. We have the receipts. We have it on video. They are killing children. It's blatant war crimes. And to end lawlessness, how are you invading another country trying to end their lawlessness? That's like invading the United States and enforcing U.S. laws or U.S. policies. You're not citizens here. You have no jurisdiction within Ukraine to be enforcing some said law. That's not your country. And to protect your citizens, you invaded another country. You're hurting other people's citizens. You're hurting Ukrainians. Yes, I do understand that there are Russians on Ukrainian territory, but there are also Russians on American territory. There's Russians over here in the United States. Russia still does not have the right to come into the United States claiming to protect their citizens. Washington, D.C. went through riots. 2020, there was riots everywhere. There's always stuff happening in the United States. That does not give any country the right or claim to so-called protect their citizens. When you are on the land, the territory of another nation, Americans included, you obey their laws. You are within that country's jurisdiction. You have the choice to leave, but that country has no say-so in that government. And who are you to think that you're about to end lawlessness in somebody else's house? That is somebody else's house. Your rules do not apply. And the hypocrisy to say, I want to protect my citizens. We want to protect our citizens. Russians weren't under attack. Nobody's bombing Russia. Like no one was coming for you. But to not take into account the protection needed for Ukrainian citizens and for their children, I'm trying to take, to be calm in this. I'm trying to break this down in my head and find the logic, but there is none. There's none. Life has always put Russia in difficult situations. Look, I'm trying to handle this in a mature way, but I gotta do it. Just this segment of the video, I gotta be a little bit petty. Aww. Oh, for you. Oh, poor baby Russia. Oh, such a victim. Life has always put us in difficult situations. We have always faced the toughest situations. Spare me the victimhood mentality, Russia, the country that has one of the most powerful militaries in the world. So we thought anyways, because right now ain't proven to be so powerful, but really? With the victimhood mentality, not this victimhood behavior, when Russia has been Europe's most aggressive agitator. Not only are you coming for Ukraine, you went after Georgia, you annexed Crimea, Russia today has put Poland and Switzerland under threat and has been saber-rattling nuclear war to the rest of the world. What do you mean? Are you gaslighting me right now? Is that what I'm giving? It's giving me abusive relationship over here playing victim when you're the one harming everybody. The reason NATO exists is to counterbalance the power and aggression of Russia. But oh, poor Russia. We've always been in the most difficult positions. You choose to be in the difficult position, okay? There's nothing thrown at you other than some maybe really harsh winners. Life has always put Russia in difficult situations, but it has always emerged a winner. I mean, the Soviet Union says different. I mean, the existence or non-existence of the Soviet Union says different. How many times has the United States in particular rescued Russia's butt? Because I'm recounting World War II would not have been handled the way it was without the intervention and friendship of the United States. The reason that this war is currently going on right now is because the Ukrainian people don't want your leadership, because they don't want to be a part of you, and you are losing. For those of you that don't know, Russia is surrounded by countries who broke up with them. All the countries that he's trying to go after are countries that left the Soviet Union, dumped Russia. Get over your ex, Russia. So to sit here and be like, we've always come out victorious. Not even in pageant world, sis. Not even in pageant world. For those of you who want to see my immediate reaction when I first caught wind of this statement and I read it live on IG Live, that was the first time I had ever seen it, I suggest you go find that live because I had a lot of words. I've had time to digest it at this moment to this point. It's still stupid. It's still just as dumb as when I read it the first time. And I'm a little disheartened that it's a queen, a former queen that's reading it, though she's a Trump queen and not entirely meant to be taken completely seriously. I don't expect much from women in that era. Not to say that there aren't women from that era who are competent, who do have leadership abilities, but they are not the majority. They are special. Most queens are like Oksana. Oksana, this was... I have defended Oksana many times because Oksana was a queen that was dethroned. And I defended her saying she didn't deserve it at that time. But you deserve it now, girl. You deserve to be dethroned. I am actually really happy at this point that she has dethroned next to her title because this was not a statement that I could take seriously. This is not a statement that is reflective of leadership. This is propaganda. This is a woman that has the spinal cord of a jellyfish. This is just not leadership behavior. This is embarrassing. That's what this is. This is embarrassing. I think it is always important for us as citizens to be able to reflect on not only our own behavior and impact on the world around us, we need to be able to understand when our governments are wrong. You guys have seen me many times, regardless of if I'm talking about a competition or it's a privy council and I'm discussing politics, I will say when my country is wrong. I will say when my competitor is wrong or any competitor is wrong. I don't play favorites like that. I don't have bias like that. In order to understand certain situations, you have to deal within the realm of logic and fact. And that leaves no room for propaganda. That leaves no room for your biases. If Russia really wanted to have better relations even with Ukraine, invading the country was not the way to do it. To be honest, Russia probably would have benefited more and been able to not have this war if they simply were nice to Ukraine. Do you understand that? The only reason Russia invaded Ukraine was because they wanted to keep them out of NATO. Instead of invading, why don't you just be nice to Ukraine and make them feel safe enough to where they don't have to join NATO? For those of you who are unaware and want to try to yell at me in the comment section about this, the reason Ukraine does not have nuclear weapons is because they handed them over to Russia. And in that contract, when they agreed to hand over their nuclear weapons, Russia gave Ukraine the promise that Ukraine would not only be protected by Russia, but that there was a guarantee that Russia would never attack Ukraine. Those were the conditions set forth when Ukraine handed over nuclear weapons. Russia broke their promise to Ukraine when they invaded. There honestly was a very diplomatic way to handle this. And a non-biased person can easily go through history and fact and see that Russia broke a treaty by even doing this. I am going to read a statement by another Russian queen who displayed compassion for the Ukrainian citizens, who did her job as a leader and granting these people who are being killed and bombed and kicked out of their country. She displayed immense empathy for these humans, and I applaud her. Miss World 2008 from Russia says this: "How is your state of morale? I am in a state of pain, fear, grief, and uncertainty. I can't believe my eyes that this is happening to my homeland right now. For the first time in my life, I am ashamed and bitter to be Russian. We don't want war. Peace to us all." There is absolutely nothing wrong with this statement. This queen admitted her own personal feelings and how she's struggling with the decisions of her leadership, which is totally fine. I do the same with the United States all the time. USA is not perfect. I do love my country, and sometimes when they make poor decisions, it hurts me. I'm hurt that my country would do certain things. That does not mean I don't love my country. It's the same thing with my mom or my brother. I may not always agree with their actions, but that does not mean that I fall out of love with them. That doesn't mean I don't love them and I'm going to abandon them. This queen was able to display empathy without completely disowning her country. In the statement, she didn't say she hated her country. She didn't say that she's like, I'm moving out of Russia. She's saying, like, right now, I am ashamed of the actions my country has taken. And it is her job as a leader, even though she does not wear the Miss World crown right now, people still do look to her for guidance. When I found out what Russia was doing, I went to many different queens' pages, especially Russian queens, to see what they had to say, because they do still represent their country. They wear their country across their chest. You are a representation of your country. Specifically, I went to find the Russian Miss Grand queens. I had a whole live stream discussing Miss Grand International and my displeasure with them because this is their advocacy, right? Peace and anti-war. So we thought. It is an integral part of leadership to be able to non-biasly look at a situation and determine the correct action to take, regardless of who it may impact. That's why I am so hardcore pressed on being impartial when it comes to my criticism of competitors, regardless of where they come from or how big their fan base is, how mad a fan base might get at me for criticism. It's very important for me to be honest, because at the very least, the fan base is going to understand that I am 100% fair, no matter what, no matter who whines or cries about it, in order to have a conductive, constructive conversation and for everyone to be included and for everyone's feelings to be taken into account, you have to be fair on the situation. Oksana Fedorova was not fair in her statement and completely biased towards Russia and its actions, displaying no sympathy or empathy or compassion for the people who are losing their children today. And it is for that reason that I, for the first time, and am happy that Oksana Fedorova has dethroned next to her status, because this was not a display of behavior of a Miss Universe. In the comment section below, let me know what you think of both statements. Oksana Fedorova's clear bias towards her own country and their deplorable actions that have been disavowed by a majority of the international community, sports federations, public in general. What do you think about the statement of Miss World 2008 and her compassion and her empathy? How would you handle this situation yourself? Are you able, really think about if you have the ability to discern when you yourself are out of line or when your country or family and friends are doing things that you don't agree with. Do you even have the power yourself to stand up when someone in front of you is doing something wrong or hurtful to another person? Though you may not be a pageant queen, think about if you have the ability yourself within your own household to stand up to your family and friends when they display harmful behavior, because this discussion does apply to you and the impact that you have on the world around you. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Come find me on social media if you want to. We get into stuff over there. We do a lot. So prepare yourself. But by all means, come hang out. Love seeing you guys. And remember, I love you and I will miss you, but you know I will be back in a future video. Bye.
Ukraine didn't attack y'all. Your citizens are fine. In fact, your citizens are protesting. Your citizens are protesting. Your own citizens are telling you to stop. So where's your duty to your citizens then? How about that? Are you kidding me? I still have another sentence to read because every sentence of this is stupid.